It is the classic American dream we have all been told to chase. The gold watch, the final handshake, and the promise of endless leisure. We imagine a life of quiet mornings, long walks, and no more alarms. But for your brain, this dream can quickly turn into a biological nightmare. Scientific research now suggests that the very freedom you worked decades for might be your greatest health risk. A major study published in the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health revealed a shocking pattern. Individuals who retire early experience a decline in short-term memory that is 38% faster than those who stay active. This is not just about getting older or slowing down. This is a fundamental shift in how your brain maintains its own structure. The moment you step away from complex problem-solving, your biology begins to change. In this discussion, we will explore the hidden hazards of a quiet life. We will look at why your cognitive health depends on more than just relaxation. And most importantly, we will see how you can rewire your retirement to stay sharp for decades. Let us start by looking at the organ itself. Your brain is a highly efficient machine that operates on a strict policy of use it or lose it. This concept is known among researchers as neuroplasticity. Throughout your career, you were constantly building and maintaining neural pathways. Every time you navigated a difficult conversation or solved a technical issue, your neurons fired. These electrical signals act like maintenance crews for your grey matter. They keep the connections strong and the communication lines open. But when those challenges disappear, a process called synaptic pruning takes over. Your brain is designed to save energy whenever possible. If a certain neural network is no longer being used, the brain simply stops maintaining it. It assumes that those pathways are no longer necessary. Slowly but surely, the mental sharpness you spent a lifetime building begins to fade. Think of it like a muscle that has been placed in a cast. If you do not move it, the fibers will eventually atrophy. For many retirees, the transition from a high-stakes environment to total leisure is too abrupt. The brain interprets this lack of stress as a signal to go into a low-power mode. This is why many people report feeling a sense of mental fog within the first year of leaving work. It is not because they are incapable, but because their internal hardware is being decommissioned. This brings us to a critical factor often overlooked: social complexity. We often think of work as a source of stress or a means to an end. However, the modern workplace is actually one of the most complex environments for a human brain. Every day at work, you were forced to read body language and interpret social cues. You had to negotiate different perspectives and adapt to unexpected changes. These interactions require an immense amount of processing power. They keep the prefrontal cortex engaged and alert. When you retire, that social network often shrinks overnight. Suddenly, your daily interactions might be limited to a spouse or a few close friends. A long-term study from Harvard Medical School has linked this social isolation to rapid brain atrophy. They found that loneliness triggers a chronic inflammatory response in the nervous system. This inflammation can accelerate the loss of neurons in the hippocampus, the area responsible for memory. Crossword puzzles and Sudoku are often recommended as the solution for this. But the truth is, these games are nowhere near as stimulating as a real human interaction. Games are predictable and follow a set of rules. Human beings are unpredictable, dynamic, and constantly changing. That unpredictability is exactly what keeps your brain young. Without the social friction of a workplace, the brain loses its most powerful training ground. This leads us to the concept of cognitive reserve. Think of cognitive reserve as a mental savings account or an insurance policy for your mind. It is the brain's ability to improvise and find alternate ways of getting a job done. People with a high cognitive reserve can often function normally even as they age. They have built so many redundant connections that their brain can bypass minor damage. The problem is that early retirement often stops the growth of this reserve. If you retire at 55 or 60, you may have 20 or 30 years of life ahead of you. If those years are spent in passive leisure, your reserve will begin to deplete. Watching television or scrolling through social media is what we call passive consumption. During these activities, your brain is essentially in a dormant state. It is taking in information without having to process, analyze, or respond to it. This is the fastest way to drain your mental energy and speed up aging. To protect yourself, you must move toward a model of active retirement. In the medical community, we are starting to call this cognitive rewiring. It means replacing your old career with a new form of meaningful work. This does not mean you have to stay in a job you dislike for the rest of your life. It means you need to find tasks that are difficult and rewarding. The key word here is difficult. To grow new neurons, you must step outside of your comfort zone. You must engage in activities that make you feel like a beginner again. Learning a new language is one of the best examples of this. It forces the brain to build entirely new structural frameworks for sounds and meanings. Picking up a complex musical instrument is another powerful tool. These activities require fine motor skills, auditory processing, and pattern recognition all at once. This is what we call a full-body workout for the mind. Another highly effective strategy is micro-working or consulting. Many retirees find that working 10 hours a week in their former field provides the perfect balance. It gives them the social stimulation and the mental challenge they need without the burnout. It keeps them connected to a purpose larger than themselves. Purpose is perhaps the most important biological chemical for longevity. When you feel that you are needed, your body produces a different set of hormones. These chemicals, like oxytocin and dopamine, protect the cardiovascular system and the brain. We see this clearly in the world's blue zones, where people often live past 100. In places like Okinawa, Japan, they do not even have a word for retirement. Instead, they have a word called ikigai. It translates roughly to the reason you get out of bed in the morning. For some, it is tending to a garden. For others, it is teaching the next generation. The activity itself matters less than the sense of responsibility it creates. As long as you have a mission, your brain has a reason to stay sharp. If you are currently planning your retirement, I want you to reconsider your timeline, or, at the very least, reconsider your strategy. Do not view retirement as a total withdrawal from the world of effort. View it as a transition to a different kind of effort, an effort that is chosen by you, driven by your passions, and designed for your health. Your brain is a masterpiece of evolution that thrives on challenge. It wants to be used. It wants to solve problems. It wants to connect with others. When you give it what it needs, it will reward you with clarity and independence for years to come. Before we conclude, I want to ask you a very personal question. What is the one skill or hobby you have always wanted to master but haven't started yet? Maybe it is writing that book, learning to code, or volunteering for a cause you love. Share it in the comments below. Let us turn this community into a network of people who are refusing to slow down. Your new mission starts the moment you decide to take that first step. By staying engaged, you are not just passing the time. You are actively defending your mind against the passage of years. If you found this information valuable, please consider sharing it with someone who is about to retire. You might just be giving them the most important health advice of their life. If you are worried about keeping your memory sharp, you need to see our next discussion. We will be covering the 5 specific morning habits that can help protect your neurons. Thank you for spending this time with me. Stay curious, stay active, and keep your brain moving. This content is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult with your physician or a qualified health provider before making changes to your lifestyle or treatment. Your health is your most valuable asset, so please treat it with the care it deserves.